Good morning.
Good morning.
Even though I have notes because it's only my second public speaking and I have some serious stuff, but I want you to relax because we're going to have some fun, but please be present. The great philosopher Socrates believed the perfect human being is all human beings put together. It is a collective. It is all of us together that make perfection. It would be a dream world if all human beings could coexist and cooperate as Socrates envisioned, right? By the way, if you were a tree in Amazon jungle, in a jam-packed jungle and competing for the sunlight, would you prefer to be a very tall tree or a short one? Come on, tell me. A very tall tree. Okay. So good. Now I know that we are on the same page. So, but back to reality. Have you ever felt frustrated when dealing with people and their differences? How difficult it is to find people who embrace their own differences and potential and want to use their potential to help us. Especially in volunteering space, we wonder why there is a low level of engagement from diverse groups despite their high potential. What are the barriers that are holding them back and holding us back? This is a crucial problem in Australia with one of the richest diverse cultures in the world. But good news, we at the Diversity, Equity and Inclusion Advisory Group at Volunteering WA have been on a mission to find the answer to these questions. And I'm wondering why only some trees can become very tall, not all of them. Think about it. I'm coming from a different culture, as you can tell. Persian culture. I'm Iranian. And my journey to volunteering may be interesting for some of you. It is about how my heart, head, and hands aligned to make the decision and take action when the opportunity appeared. But right now, I'm standing here on behalf of our team. Our group has become a long way from doubt and divergence to trust and convergence. Our journey began with asking the question, why? After finding the purpose that resonated with us, the what and how got clearer and kept us on track. Just imagine being a very tall tree. You must have very strong roots. It means you can stand storms and even earthquakes, right? We believe in our group and everywhere else, there are 3 keys to engage people in volunteering: values, time, trust. But before I explain about this VTT, I'd like to share with you some of our group's achievements since its inception just 6 months ago. 2 main outcomes of our teamwork have been product and process. The product includes a range of documents that we generated. We reviewed, generated, and suggested changes to a variety of volunteering WA documents. The aim of these is to help organizations like yours to engage volunteers from diverse groups more successfully. One example of these documents is the top hints and tips for creating accessible documents, which is uploaded in the National Knowledge Base, and it's ready for you to use if you want to scan the QR code. We are also proud of the process that we created in our diverse group to work cohesively. As our our lovely facilitator, Rika, once said, a diverse group versus a non-diverse group is like having a meal at a buffet restaurant versus eating steak every day. Who wouldn't celebrate buffet? And our adventure has only just begun. I wanted to say that we aim to become like a very tall tree, but you must be annoyed by me repeating about it. So, I don't say it. I've got an interesting story to visual the concept of diversity and inclusion. Elephant in the Dark, by the well-known Iranian philosopher and poet Rumi. There was an elephant in an absolute dark room. People who had never seen one before went into the room, but with no light. They could only touch it to understand it. So each person touched one part of the elephant and rushed out of the room with excitement to tell everyone all about the elephant. According to these people, the elephant was a big downspout pipe instead of its trunk, a big hand fan instead of its ear, a pillar instead of its leg, and so on. Luckily, the elephant was a nice one, and it didn't kick or crush anyone for touching it without consent. So, interestingly, everyone was so sure only their view describes the whole elephant correctly. You can imagine the level of confusion and conflict between these people, because they didn't work as a team and they didn't consider different experiences. Rumi points out that none of the people's description were wrong, but they were all incomplete to describe the whole elephant, which we call the big picture. The dark in this story refers to our inability to understand. It can be unintentional due to our limitations, or it can be intentional due to a closed or fixed mindset. Rumi then argues that if there was a candle in each one's hand, there wouldn't be any conflict. By the way, do you know how an elephant can climb a very tall tree? In their dream. Okay, sorry, I promised this was the last time I talk about very tall trees. Now let's see who remembers what VTT stands for. See, I didn't even say it, you said it in your mind. I wanted to say values, time, trust. Everyone in our group was encouraged to contribute to determining our group values, which are respect, openness, patience, and inclusiveness. Having this value system is like being in a strong magnetic field that holds us together in whatever form we are. Value for heart is like logic for the mind. They convince us to do something, and volunteering is clearly a decision made by heart. Volunteering is essentially gifting time, the most precious asset that a living human has. We give our time only when we trust that it will be used well for something that we value. I repeat, we give our time only when we trust that it will be used well for something that we value. So, you can see how values, time, and trust are interconnected in our decision-making process. The trust that I'm referring to has three aspects. First, trust in self, that I'm good enough and I belong here. Second, trust in the group, that is a safe place to be and a place to grow. And third, trust in the process, that the time and energy that I put in will result in something valuable. May I invite all of us to let go of our pre-assumptions about others, and especially about people from diverse groups, those assumptions are very likely to be just incomplete statements like in Rumi's elephant story, dance bagpipe, hand fan, hero, etc. We can understand each other better by being present, choosing to be curious and learn with fresh eyes and an open mind. Let's get comfortable with asking questions and show that we are open to learning. Asking questions help us learn anything, so even something like climbing a very tall tree. And at the same time, let's be conscious about the harm of positive discrimination and overkilling diversity and inclusion. Instead of ignoring someone's lack of skill or ability, empower them to overcome their challenges. Then only they can trust themselves and you for being honest and fair. Once they gain this trust, they would feel they truly belong and are ready to share their diverse gifts with others. There are great resources. So my last point was to get in touch and help each other. And my last word is, there's a learning curve to embrace diversity, equity, and inclusion. We believe the journey through this learning curve is a valuable challenge worth taking, and the result will amaze you. That's a very tall promise. Thank you.